Or did this? Okay, well, happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be on here. I am just so thankful that we take the time to meet each week because we don't all work together in person, but it's just so great to meet and gather and continue to encourage each other and learn together and grow together. And I'm so excited for you to get to hear from our special guest today. Yvonne is my new friend from the Branson Boot Camp. I'm so thankful I got to go to the Branson Boot Camp. It was amazing. And I just was so drawn to Yvonne. She had this adorable booth of her artwork, and I was so drawn to all of her adorable fruit and vegetable God's plants artwork. And so I'm just really excited. Once I started chatting with her, her story was amazing. And I said, I really want my whole team to get to hear your story. And so I asked her to come on here and share. Um, I am just gonna read a little bit about her. She is a wife and a mom of six. She is a proud nanny to 14 grandchildren, and she's a certified health coach and a qualified senior sales coordinator, and she's also a watercolor artist. So, I'm just excited to let her take it away and for you guys to hear her story. And feel free to think of questions as she's sharing because we'd love to have her answer some questions at the end. So I'm going to just go ahead and let you take it away, Yvonne. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. First, thanks, Tori, for inviting me to be here today. I mean, it's truly an honor. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Yvonne. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, Barry. We've been married for 37 years and have six incredible children, 14 grandchildren, and four more on the way. Very excited about that. And these days, you'll usually find me either painting in my little studio, which is right here, spending time with my family, or encouraging women as a certified health coach, loyal friend, and prayer warrior. If there's one thing I'd love for you to know about me before I share my story, it's this: I love Jesus, I love my family, and I love helping people feel better. These three things have shaped just about every decision I've made and every dream I've pursued. For a long time, though, I wasn't sure I'd ever have the health or energy to live that kind of life. Life is full and it's beautiful, but it wasn't always that way. In fact, for many years, I honestly believe surviving was the best that life was ever going to be. After having five babies in 8 years, I struggled with my weight after every pregnancy. Then, when I was 34 years old, my dad, my person, was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Losing him absolutely shattered me. Grief has a way of affecting every part of your life. Within just a few months, my weight climbed to 250 pounds. I developed diabetes, dangerously high blood pressure, and several other health issues. I was terrified, not because I was afraid of getting older, but I was afraid my children would grow up without their mom. After a lot of prayer, conversations with my family, and guidance from my doctors, I made the difficult decision to have gastric bypass surgery. That was 21 years ago. For many years, I truly felt like it was the right decision. My diabetes disappeared, my blood pressure improved dramatically, the weight came off. I could keep up with my kids again. I looked healthy, but if I'm honest, I wasn't really living. I was surviving. From the outside, everything looked fine. Inside, my body seemed to be falling apart. Over the years came surgery after surgery, complications, infusions, injections, chronic pain, exhaustion. I kept checking all the boxes. I followed every recommendation. I took every supplement I was told to take, but I never felt well. I remember thinking, maybe this is just what getting older feels like. Maybe some of you have felt that way too. You're not really sick, but you aren't well either. You're simply getting through the day. That was me. Then in 2019, everything changed again. My back pain became unbearable. An MRI showed a ruptured disc, fractures, a slipped vertebrae, and I needed spinal surgery. The surgery went well. It was a bit scary, and I thought I'd turn another corner. Well, within a few months, the pain started coming back. Not as severe, but enough that I was considering calling my surgeon. Around that same time, one of my dear friends kept talking to me about Juice Plus and their omegas. Now, let me just tell you, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with omegas. I laughed and told her, I don't do omegas. Because of my hiatal hernia, every omega I had ever tried reminded me all day long that I had taken it. She smiled and said, "These are different. They're plant based. Just give them a try. What do you have to lose?" Well, because I love my friend, I finally agreed, but only the omegas, I said. I even signed up as a partner because it made the subscription cheaper, or so I thought, and it was easier to tell my husband that I got a discount, fully intending to cancel before the second shipment. I figured I'd give it an honest try so I could tell her, see, they didn't work. Well, God had other plans. About 2 weeks later, I realized something. I wasn't hurting anymore. I actually remember stopping and thinking, wait a minute, where did my pain go? If you've lived with chronic pain, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pain doesn't just affect your body, it steals your joy, it steals your energy, it steals your desire to do the things you love. When the pain began lifting, I felt like I was getting my life back. I started researching for myself. The more I learned, the more I wanted to nourish my body instead of simply getting by. So I added the berries. Then eventually the entire quad. Month after month, I felt better. Then Barry noticed. One day he looked at me and said, "I want whatever you're taking." And I laughed and told him, "Well, you're going to have to get your own." Pretty soon, our family and friends started noticing too, not just physically. They noticed something had changed in my spirit. I smiled more. I laughed more. I had energy again. I finally felt human. One of the greatest gifts of feeling better wasn't just having less pain, it was that I started dreaming again. I became a certified health coach because I wanted to help other women experience hope. I discovered my love for watercolor painting, something I didn't even know existed. And today I have, like Tori said, a little art business that brings me so much joy. I have the energy to create, to travel with Barry and my Juice Plus family, to chase grandchildren around and make priceless memories with them, to say yes to opportunities that I never would have had the energy to do before. Health didn't just change how I felt, it changed how I live. Last year, I faced another unexpected challenge. I started having severe pain every time I ate. My doctors ordered test after test. Everything came back normal. In fact, my bariatric team kept saying, "Your nutrition looks perfect." And they were shocked about that. After 21 years, they expected to see something very different. But because my symptoms continued, they decided to do exploratory surgery. They discovered that I had two large pockets where foods had been getting trapped, and they thought it was maybe from my gastric bypass. They weren't sure 100%. One was the size of my fist. None of them showed up in the scans. After surgery, my surgeon came into my room and said something I will never forget. She told me that with the size of those pockets and how long I'd had symptoms, she expected to find infection, disease, damage. Instead, this is her words exactly, everything looked pristine. Let me repeat that. Everything looked pristine. During those weeks when eating solid food was impossible, I relied heavily on Juice Plus, my complete shakes, and superfood powders to nourish my body. And I truly believe that helped and made an incredible difference in my recovery. Today, I have more energy than I ever imagined. Barry has been on this journey with me for 6 years now. Heart disease and strokes run in his family. His father passed away at the age of 40. Watching Barry take ownership of his health has been one of the greatest blessings of this journey. People often tell us, you don't look old enough to have 14 grandchildren. And I just smile because the story has never been about looking younger, although honestly, it's been a benefit. It's about living younger. It's about waking up excited for the day. It's about having the energy to love my family well, to paint, to travel, to encourage other people to live the life God has given me. If you had told that 34-year-old woman, the one grieving her dad, weighing 250 pounds, wondering if she'd live long enough to watch her children grow up, let alone grandchildren, that one day she'd be healthier, she'd be painting and traveling, chasing all 14 grandchildren with more coming, and standing here sharing this message of hope, I would have never have believed you. Looking back now, I can see God's faithfulness woven through every chapter. Sometimes he worked through doctors, sometimes through surgeons, sometimes through the love of family and faithful friends, and sometimes through a friend who cared enough to say, just try it. Looking back, I can see that God was caring for me through it all. And I also want to add something that is very personal to me. Over the past 2 years, my family has walked through one of the hardest seasons of our lives. Our son in law was diagnosed with cancer, and after a long and very courageous battle, he passed away this past January, leaving behind 5 young children. In the middle of that grief, I can honestly say I do not know what I would have done without the support of my family, my faith, and my Juice Plus community. They didn't just encourage me around health, they showed up for me as people. They prayed, they checked in, they loved on my family, and they carried us in ways I will never forget. That kind of community is something I didn't even realize I needed until I was in the middle of a storm. Juice Plus became one of the tools God used to help restore my health. But what he really restored was my joy, my purpose, my life. That's why I share my story. Not because I have to, not because I want to convince anyone of anything. I share it because I remember what it felt like to lose hope. And if sharing my story helps even one person believe that they don't have to settle for simply surviving, that it's never too late to take a step towards better health, to dream again, and to truly live, then every difficult chapter has been worth it. And thank you so much for letting me share, and God bless you.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk. Gosh, do you guys see why I wanted you to hear from Yvonne?
That's incredible. Holy cow.
I know, I'm like, someone else say something because I'm like, I need to go get a box of tissues. Oh, look, I have some tissues right here.
This is the first time I've made it through reading that part without crying. Every time I get to the
Oh,
part about my Juice Plus family and how they loved on us, that was not expected. I mean, it's
yeah.
and that's just how Juice Plus people are. I mean, that's just that's like the added bonus that God gave me. Like here's your extra little bit of grace and love and hope. Um, so
Well, I was staring at her beautiful artwork and she's telling me this, and I'm sure you guys can just, I didn't even get all of those details, but I was like, okay, you just, you need to just come on and share with my team because I really want every single person that I know to hear this, but especially our team. So I just Can't thank you enough for that. Gosh, I feel like I want to have like a deep question for you. My first thought that comes to mind is just share with us where you live, and then you're also at your lake house right now, right? So tell us
Yes.
maybe a little
Yeah.
bit.
So we lived for almost 25 years in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I'm from the East Coast originally, born and raised in Vermont, and then my husband is a chemical engineer. And when we had five kids, our youngest at the time, Noah, was 2 years old. We moved to the Midwest and knew no one, and just made a change for our family because my husband was in a position at the mill where he worked before that. We never saw him. I was pretty much a single parent, and we didn't want that. That was not what we wanted for our family. So when we moved here, it was really wonderful. And then about 6 years ago, we were really involved in youth ministry for a long time because we had kids, and we feel like it's really important to be a part of that journey with them and to be very present in sharing the love of Jesus with them and other teens. And so we were very involved in that for about 10 years while our kids were going through that. During also that time, we were able to adopt our youngest son, Caleb, from Guatemala when he was 6.5 months old. He's now 24. And so that's been a beautiful journey. And then about 6 years ago, we bought a lake house about 20 minutes away from where we lived. And we bought it because we had grandchildren, young grandchildren, and we wanted to have a space that we could have everybody come home to and build memories. And that's what we do. And last weekend, we just had a bunch of kids here. I'll have a bunch of kids here again in a few weeks. And we built a garage with a bunkhouse so that we can just like house, tons of bodies and just be together, and just spend time making memories. So
That's beautiful. Well, I want to highlight some of your art just because I'm like, you guys have to see these beautiful fruit and vegetable, which I know the quality is not as good through here, the screen, but I was just so drawn to these beautiful fruits and vegetables. And I know that she has a little Etsy shop, so um, we can put her link that she sent me here, and I'll put it on our team page as well. Does anyone else have any questions though for Yvonne? I just can't thank you enough for your just sharing all of those beautiful parts and hard parts of your journey. Does anyone else want to ask Yvonne a question?
it's hard because a long time I really felt a lot of shame in having to making the decision to get a gastric bypass. And so I didn't talk about it a lot. And then I really felt like, there's a lot of people, like if I'm going to be truly authentic, that's part of my story. I mean, I didn't, and there's a lot of people who have and I felt like I wasn't good enough for a while for Juice Plus because I couldn't do it on my own. Do you know what I mean? Like I really felt a bit of shame. And then I felt like, you know what? No, this is part of the story. This is part of the story. God has walked me to this. And there's a lot of people out there,
Yeah.
especially when I had that experience of the doctors like being in the hospital and them giving me things to drink because I had to be on a full liquid diet that
Yes.
I couldn't consume literally. And so I had packed superfoods had just come out. I was in San Diego 3 days before my surgery, and I
Wow.
had by the time I got home, my superfoods were there, and I brought those and my completes to the hospital, and I pulled them out of my bag, and I said, I'm going to take these. And they're like, wow, and they just don't want to listen though. They think it's great. Oh, that's good. They can't understand why my numbers are perfect.
Yep.
They looked at every test under the sun, sent me to an endocrinologist thinking something was wrong. And I am like perfection, like my blood work had been red flag, red flag for years. And I don't have any red flags anymore.
That's amazing.
And I know it's Juice Plus. I mean, people say you can't say that, but I'm going to say it. I know it's Juice Plus. Because when your body's starving and it's just Juice Plus, the one thing about, if I know about Juice Plus, it's bioavailable, right? I mean, it goes right into your bloodstream and it does what it's supposed to do. And
Mhm.
it feeds your body. And I think that's why I saw the results, that my body was so quickly, because my body's so malnourished, and it's
You can't
just,
even eat, you don't even have the space to eat enough of the plants that you would need to absorb.
no. And then what was happening during this time when I had this I couldn't eat. Actually, because they couldn't find, they thought I had cancer or something. They were looking for whatever they could, because they could not figure out what was going on. And um and even didn't show up in CAT scans, it didn't show up in anything. And I'm really grateful that the surgeon was like, something's not right, because you should not have this much pain. And I was losing weight, like a lot of weight, because I couldn't eat. Um, so, and but I couldn't believe how much energy I still had being
Yeah.
on X Plus,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Amazing. Your story is amazing. And I don't really have any questions, but I just really am grateful that you took the time to share it with us. And I'm grateful you shared that you had to kind of work through you know, it's uncomfortable for you to own that piece of your story. We all have pieces of our story probably that we don't want to own or say out loud. So,
mm,
but just as an outsider looking in, I can only imagine how many people are going to be blessed by your story. So I just
thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
sharing it, taking the time. And Tori, thank you for connecting with her.
Yes. Well, I just totally praise God that I did. And she was there with her sweet little booth, and her shirt that she has on, I bought from her. It says "Very Blessed." And Yvonne, it wasn't even until I already had purchased it that I noticed there was 7 little blueberries, which being number 7, I'm like, oh
So
my,
cute.
I was extra drawn to that shirt because just of our 7 blessings. So, and I'm so glad you shared the story of your son, number 6, because I was
Yeah.
I was curious about that too. So adopting him, and wow. So now, because of your joy and your renewed just passion and energy for life, out of that came your watercolor. You want to just speak to that for a second?
Yeah, I had when my kids were little, I had actually written a children's book when my third child was about 9 months old. And it just was a gift from God. It just came out of, like, I sat down, put them down for a nap, had a thought in my head, wrote it, and I couldn't believe it was in front of me. And I actually had it copywritten and everything, and just never did anything with it. And in the past, and since then, I've written 2 more children's books. And I just felt like life was just so crazy, and am I ever going to do anything with these? Nah, maybe not. And then I realized, well, I I went to Pure Hope Ranch. We had a retreat there, and it was called the Dream Giver Retreat. And I realized that I had never dreamed for myself. When you're a mom, you hold everybody else's dreams. You hold your kids' dreams, your family dreams, everybody else's. Well, now my kids are out of the house. Whose dreams do I have? I still want to hold their dreams, and I want to carry them for them. But what are my dreams? And I had a friend tell me that, like, not your kids' dreams, Yvonne. What are your dreams? And my dream was to publish my book for my grandchildren. And so that inspired me to say, ask for watercolors for Christmas that year. Literally never, I tried water painting one time when, oh, probably 15, 20 years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can never do this. But I've learned a lot. A lot of it's the paper. I mean, there's a lot of, what they tell you is watercolor paper in the store is an absolute lie. Go make sure it's, actually at the at Hobby Lobby or whatever. But so I just started painting and playing around, and unbeknownst to me, I could paint, which is, again, a surprise, a blessing, and I love it. And God He does nothing by mistake. The timing is always perfect, because that following year, that was in 2023, that I got the paint, started painting. 2024, my son-in-law was diagnosed with cancer. And while we were at Indianapolis, I got the news that it was stage 4. And that was like the worst, like, conference. And it has been one of those things that has been so peaceful and healing for me
Yeah.
to when my brain and my heart can't handle one more thing, to just, and you feel like you can't accomplish, like anything feels too much, to sit down and just play and just paint and kind of put it down and create has been really therapeutic for me. And I've also started teaching watercolor classes, which I absolutely love. My dream would be to teach a watercolor and wellness class incorporating Juice Plus and the benefits of Juice Plus and mental health and the omegas, all of the studies in with having hobbies, having things that are good for you. Like exercise is great to move your body, yes, but so is something like people love to read, people, love to craft, they love to do gardening. Watercolor or painting can be that too. And some people find it frustrating and they just try it once and never want to do it again, but it's just good to find something for yourself that, God picked you for. That's your gift. So,
That's so beautiful. I'm so glad I asked you that because that's a whole another side of just being able to do something that's so good for a different part of your brain and,
mm,
you know, resetting your nervous system and just being still. So
yeah,
it's just,
yes.
I love that. I want to come to Watercolor and Wellness. So I think that sounds like the cutest event I've ever heard of. So that's what they say. Pick the event that you would want to go to and design it, make it happen. So, oh, well, thank you so much. I know it's 12:30 or a couple minutes past, but I just can't thank you enough for
Thank
taking
you.
time to share with us. It was beautiful. I'm so thankful I have it recorded. And everyone just go be encouraged, continue to, keep these stories in your hearts as you go out and share with the world because the world needs more of those of us that are sharing and caring and loving others and pointing to the beauty of God's plants. So keep on doing what you're doing, and you guys have a blessed rest of your Tuesday.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Yvonne.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
You
you
guys have a
so
great
much.
day.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Yeah. Thank you.